Undertaker versus Ric Flair was an underrated match at WrestleMania 18.
Undertaker versus Ric Flair was not an underrated match at WrestleMania. Undertaker Ric Flair was a travesty. They spent an entire fuck this, fuck Dragon Ball Z for a second. They spent an entire year with heel Undertaker killing Ric Flair's best friend, killing both of his kids, and Ric Flair makes the epic heroic comeback by being pinned clean in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, didn't he?
At WrestleMania.
Yeah, wasn't there one point where Undertaker straddled bloody David Flair in a shower to get Ric Flair's attention?
I don't know. You obviously weren't watching back then, man, but it was one of those moments where you love Undertaker, but you realize this is the worst version of him.
Yeah. Every episode. Or should I say boner maker?
All right. Let's get this shit show Dragon Ball Z storyline on the road. So the last person to do I don't want to do the intro to this, but I feel like it's fair since I know the least bit about this. And I 100% did not look up a single thing other than I re-listened to parts of a different pod that I like about Dragon Ball Z. And all I did was I remembered the name of the guy who made it, which I could have gotten with the Wikipedia. So, hey, it's a time, pal. I'm here with Brett Bortman Baker.
Yo-ho!
And returning guest and eventual host, ShadoSpartan.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Now, this is going to sound like a nerd's wet dream. We're going to talk about Dragon Ball Z, but here's the thing. Out of the three of us are huge fans, and one of us, i.e. me, got suckered in this fucking topic and never wants to talk about it ever again.
I was going to make them guess, because I was guess which one of us is the Dragon Ball fan, because I've been going like this. I was like, hey, Shadow, dragon, rock the dragon.
Watch the dragon.
Dragon Ball Z.
Ball Z.
See, I couldn't see. To me, that's something that you hear in your head as you're dying. You know what I mean? Just as you have your stroke, that's what's gonna happen. So here's what I did. This is no bullshit. I wrote down 5 things that I can talk about for Dragon Ball Z. Just 5 things that I know for sure about this fucking program that you guys love. I'm gonna run through it. You guys can talk about it. I'm going to exhaust my knowledge of it literally within minutes, and then we will move on with our lives and never do this again.
Well, also after we do the questions, we're going to do we have the quiz for you afterwards.
You have a quiz?
I didn't tell you about the quiz?
No.
Oh, yeah. So Dom and I just put together a little quiz show for you. Dom has 5 questions. I got 5 questions, and we're gonna.
It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but for Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
So what do I win at the end? An aneurysm?
If I hear a big thump on the ground, I will sleep soundly tonight.
Before we truly start, the best thing about Dragon Ball Z was it had a great Strong Bad parody. And that's the only thing I care about. Oh, that, and it had a show on Adult Swim called Perfect Hair Forever, which I kind of vaguely knew was about Dragon Ball, and it would have made me interested if that was Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
It's
one day I would hope that, we'll be able to figure out the video aspect of this show. And I still have that clip that you sent me years ago, Mike, about you're like, this is how I feel about Japanese anime, and it was like, remember that clip about like, what is your name? And he's just like, you go better. It's like, what a coincidence! My name is also
I forgot about that. Holy shit! That's a great clip.
Into the air.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was one of my favorite fucking
And you were like,
things.
"This is about all I know about anime."
So, well, you want to go through what I know about anime before we
Let's
start?
shoot. Let's do
So
it. Let's rock the dragon.
What I know about here's what I know about anime, just in general. I think I talked about this before, but not on the show. I watched 3 animes ever. I watched the movie Ninja Scrolls, which was great. I watched a movie called Wicked City, which was not great, and then I watched Akira, which was okay.
Okay.
Akira was okay. Akira was one of those ones where when I watched it, I was a little too young, so I didn't get it.
Oh.
I have a feeling when Leonardo DiCaprio makes his live action movie that it's gonna be fantastic. And then I will like it. And then I'll just tell everybody I know Akira.
Even as a non-anime fan, Mike, I mean, you should watch Akira again. It's really kind of a freaking masterpiece, you know.
I probably should. Because that movie came out when I was really young.
Right.
So when I finally rented it, because the cover looked amazing.
Yeah.
When I finally rented it, I didn't get it. It's one of those ones where I think I would. Oh, I'm gonna take that back too. I watched a lot of Cowboy Bebop back when it was on Adult Swim, and that was great. Cowboy Bebop was great. I watched everything out of order because I didn't. Obviously, it just was something that was on after the shows I liked.
Right.
So it's just one of those things where, I don't remember when it was, but like Metalocalypse would end, and then they would do their anime.
Yeah.
And it was on all the fucking time. Like it was on all the time.
Yeah, Akira is like it's like Blade Runner mixed with Frankenstein, mixed with Tron, mixed with Firestarter.
Oh right,
and
Firestarter.
Because it's because Tetsuo is like just destroying everything. So it's like it's really we got you should check that again. I mean, even from a non-anime, you could show that to people who are like have no idea about Japanese anime, and they'll be like, this is pretty cool. It's kind of taking a long time to establish itself. That's what Japanese animes do, Yeah. But like you're like once you get into it, you're like, holy crap, this is kind of cool, Yeah.
No. I like I said, it's one of those ones where if somebody asks me if I liked Akira, I will instinctively say yes.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't. I remember being a kid and being like, I don't get what's happening. But I will definitely have to watch it again. Yeah, right.
Now, I'm going to have to ask Dom this. So, Dom, do you think that when you think of the Namekians, is that kind of, do you feel like there's that's the kind of the ethnic group of Dragon Ball? Or do you not make that distinction at all?
Not really.
I don't know.
I think just whole alien race is just how I saw them.
Yeah, because when I look back at Dragon Ball, I wondered about that, like how they were kind of trying to portray the Namekians, because there's aliens all over the Piccolo, the green guy. He's a Namekian, and so he comes from Namek, the planet Namek, and they're kind of like slug people. Like if they cut their arms off, like they can regrow their arms back and stuff like that. Just
slugs don't have arms. This show is bullshit.
I said slug people.
Slug-like.
Slug-like people.
Fine, you got me on a technicality. So they're called Namekians?
Namekians, yeah. But but I mean, there is like racism of the Namekians. Like Vegeta is constantly like, only a Namek would think like that, And I always felt like there was.
And somebody's just like, that word is our word.
It kind of felt that, I always kind of felt that with the Nameks, I was like,
Okay.
but they never exploited it too much. You didn't have like where they were persecuted by everyone, but there was just a few times when it's like, maybe it's just Vegeta because he's an asshole, Vegeta's the kind of asshole to be like, Vegeta. I'm not listening to a Mexican about that, Yeah. And no damn Nameks either. So.
Oh man, Vegeta just said Nameks with a hard C.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cancel that. God, that's so like this show. This show is bad, right? Am I the only one? Well, fuck it.
I don't know. I hear a bit of positivity in your voice.
No, we'll start it off. Okay. And then we will try to find a thread here. My 5 things. Okay. Just to set the tone to show that I did some kind of research. Number 1, The original Dragon Ball anime began in 1984, went on until 1995, was invented by a guy named Akira Toriyama, which I can only imagine is Japanese for bullshit artist. Because from I read, he stole the initial story and concept from an old Chinese
Monkey
fable
King.
called Journey to the West.
Yeah, the Monkey
Yep,
King.
exactly, Monkey King. Which I don't know this for a fact, but it's also why Goku has a tail.
Side note, another great retelling of the Monkey King story, movie that kind of just came and went. I think it was like 2008. It had Jackie Chan and Jet Li, The Forbidden Kingdom.
Oh, that was a good movie.
Or The Monkey King. But like they worked in like an American kid because it's an American movie.
As an Asian American, I also take the very normal stance that we don't support anybody that's also Asian. So like I never.
Oh.
Well, you can always root for the white kid in the movie. So.
Oh no! Once it's made, like remade by like I don't know Zac Efron, like it'll be great. I'm sure it's gonna be fun. So, number 2, Dragon Ball Z Abridged have told me that the way to watch this show is something called Dragon Ball Z Abridged on YouTube.
The way for you to watch the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that and I appreciate the way you say that with sarcasm, but that just fucking shows me how silly your fandom is when the best way to watch this show is to watch it as fast as possible.
No, it was not sarcastic. I was being serious. The way you would get into it is Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Is to watch it with most of the show cut
Yes.
out. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3. Goku beats Superman in every fan fiction or fan cartoon on the internet. That's part of the reason why I know who Goku is. He shows up in every fucking thing with a super powerful being, and he's always kicking somebody's ass. I just wanted to leave that sentence out there because his entire His entire existence is to be that thing you pull out of your pocket when you're losing an argument and can't handle a debate. So you can't keep pulling Goku out of your ass as the most powerful thing in every fucking thing.
I would counter that. Yes, you're correct that everyone always. Goku trumps all other superheroes, but in
it drives me nuts.
Every fan theory of who would win, Superman always wins.
Yeah, he does.
Not really.
Yes.
Why though? Everything I've read has always been Goku is always
everyone likes Goku better, but Superman always wins is more powerful. You remember Death Battle? Did you ever watch Death Battles?
I've never seen a death battle with Goku and Superman. They made
2, and Superman won both times.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's hope for this after all.
Yeah, you should feel better now.
I do feel a little better. Number 4, if Taco Bell came out with a Vegeta, I might actually give a shit about what it is. Number 5, everything is canon for you people, including video games and the shitty drawings in the back of your high school notebook. So, and the reason why I say that is every time I Google anything, there's a billion Dragon Ball Z things, and I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, well, for the sake of the episode, let me figure out what exactly is the show. And apparently all of it exists. All of it counts at all points in time. Because Goku can both be a young boy and an old man and pure energy and a fucking planet, and I don't get it. But it's all there, and it's all like present at the exact same time in the exact same moment. Your show is ridiculous. Your turn to defend it.
Okay, so, I'm going to defend it with knowledge of the show. So, in Dragon Ball, Goku is a child. In Dragon Ball Z, he's grown up. In Dragon Ball GT, which is not canon, which is because it's a show that had nothing to do with Akira Toriyama, one of the villains of Dragon Ball Z wishes for Goku to be a kid again so he can beat him, not realizing that Goku would still be as strong as he was when he was an adult. So there's that.
So Goku is always he was born with the strength of a human Goku or mature Goku.
His strength grew as he got older and he kept training, but they tried to wish him into a kid again in Dragon Ball GT. This is why GT sucks. And they didn't wish for him to be as strong as he was when he was a kid. So when they started to fight him, he turned Super Saiyan 3 and would kick everybody's ass.
Oh, so
yeah, it's not like he didn't depower when he became a kid. He stayed the same.
This is the monkey's paw kind of thing where your wish wasn't phrased properly. Yes. I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
But then the thing that confused me is they had Super Saiyan 4, which is only in GT. So technically, a lot of people say it's not canon. And so Goku would turn adult again when he would transform into a Super Saiyan 4. So you're like, Well, that doesn't make sense. He should be a little.
No way.
He should be a little baby Super
Saiyan
Saiyan 4. You know.
So that's what the third iteration of the show. Then
yeah,
you can see why this is confusing for somebody who does not understand the show.
I never argued that. I can definitely see that shit.
Okay, well, somebody who knows nothing about the show at all. Dragon Ball Z Super, or is it just called Dragon Ball Super?
That's Dragon Ball Super. Yeah,
Dragon Ball Super. So Dragon Ball Super, understand what the show is. The Dragon Balls, you get all 7 together and you get a wish. Yeah. So does that storyline, is that still the same storyline in every Dragon Ball?
Well, the first Dragon Ball, just plain Dragon Ball, was all about getting the Dragon Balls together so you can wish for stuff. That was their whole objective. Okay. And then other stuff happened in the show, like Goku wanted to prove how strong he was, even as a kid, so he would join the martial arts tournament. And
so the Dragon Ball thing is not like the actual point of the show. It's more just like watching Goku.
It kind of was in Dragon Ball 1. But then it became a plot device in the later shows. Like in Dragon Ball Z, if somebody dies, they would, like, we have to collect the Dragon Balls so we can wish them back to life.
I see. Where do they keep these things? Is it all like you wear
when
them?
When you collect all the Dragon Balls and make a wish, the minute you make the wish, the Dragon Balls scatter around the world.
Throughout the Earth.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. It might as well.
And there's different dragons for different planets, like the Namekian dragon Purunga, and he does different things. Like you can make 3 wishes, and then the dragon on our Earth is Shenron, and Shenron. I think you can have 2 wishes with Shenron, but you can't wish anybody back who's already died.
So, if all these Dragon Balls by themselves grant wishes, what's the point of getting all 7?
No. You have to have all 7.
You have to bring them all together.
So, but Dragon Ball Z was the best because they, like I said, instead of being the main objective, it just became a plot device, and the main objective of the show was let's kick everyone's ass. Like right from the get-go, the first thing that happens is Goku's long-lost brother Raditz shows up from, and
his name is Radish.
Well, I'm not going to get into that because that's kind of one of the questions I have for you. But in the first episode, he comes and steals Gohan, Goku's child, and says, "You're gonna, you're gonna join me, and we're gonna destroy the Earth because we're Saiyans. That's what we do."
So, what is a Saiyan?
A Saiyan is like a human ape kind of creature that comes from the planet Vegeta, the planet is ruled over by King Vegeta, and then the badass of the show that we all like is Prince Vegeta. So they're they're kind of like humans, but they're stronger than humans, and they get stronger after every battle, and they get especially stronger if they become before near death. Like when they heal after coming towards near death, they get exponentially stronger.
Is that why you guys like the show? Because everybody's kind of quietly afraid to die.
But if they die, you can get wished back to life. So
there's no stakes.
But they also
there's no stakes in this show.
Well, so there's more to it than that.
They're apes, so they have tails. So they're kind of like they're human in every way except they have tails. And then they were kind of a warrior. They're a warrior race, so they would go to other planets and take over. And the only thing that they made it so people couldn't stop them was because when the moon came out, and every planet has a moon, any planet that has sustaining life has a moon. When the moon comes out, they turn into giant apes.
Huh.
But it's only if you have your tail. So they find that out in the first saga of Dragon Ball Z is that if you remove a Saiyan's tail, they can't turn into a giant ape anymore.
Do you feel good saying all that? Do you feel like this is something that was?
It's getting me pumped. Honestly, I want to go back and watch the Saiyan saga. I don't know about you, Dom, but I want to go watch the Saiyan saga again.
So I haven't heard much from Dom. So you tell me, because I know Brett's love for Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
so tell me
how
you got your love for
Dragon
Ball, what you like about it.
I'm tagging out, Dom. You're tagging you in.
Because I've heard Brett Baker's arguments for Dragon Ball Z for 20 years now, and I've never watched a single episode in full. So sell me on Dragon Ball.
Well, for my childhood, it was every time coming home from school and watching Toonami on Cartoon Network.
Loser.
Watching all kinds of anime, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Sailor Moon, and then also Dragon
Oh
Ball.
no, now I stand corrected. I didn't know we had royalty on this podcast.
I watched Sailor Moon after school every day in middle school, man. I love Sailor Moon.
Yeah, so...
Never saw Sailor Moon. Not even kidding. Just would not allow it in my house. I masturbated to a lot of shit during those years, and I refuse. I just refuse.
You know she's a teenager, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, huh? You said Sailor Moon's a teenager, right?
Sir, I will have you know she might look like she's 13, but she's really a 5,000-year-old dragon.
She's a moon princess.
It is an anime. But yeah, it was just every time I came home, and Dragon Ball Z was just always so cool with the fights. It just always felt so over the top, and I just always laughed at the little stuff in most animes where, you know, they would always be fighting, but the images would just be like this blurry image, and then the next frame would be, you know, them dodging it. It just seemed so over the top. But my favorite thing was any anime character that is like in shock over something. All they say is
Yeah, with the lines in the background going really fast, like oh!
Yeah, or whenever they're powering up.
Yeah.
I mean, for like an entire episode, they would be powering up, and you'd be like, when are they going to move on? When are they going to start fighting again? Or when is the plot going to move on? And when it did, something would finally happen.
I loved it. I loved the whole episode of powering up. To me, that means really powerful. That it takes that long to power up. That's what that means to me.
So here's the thing. This show's been on conception since 1985, whatever the hell I said. And the most important thing of your childhood that got you hooked on the show was they go,
Pretty much. But I mean, in all seriousness, I really did like Goku. In like every fight, he's always getting stronger and more powerful. And in most stories, it's, you know, the hero has to lose early on and then eventually overcomes that. And I think just Dragon Ball Z did such a great job with that. And then always introduced an even more powerful villain that he's got to overcome.
When he went Super Saiyan against Frieza, I mean, when you're watching this whole show and he's getting stronger and stronger, and then like Super Saiyan at that point in time was the pinnacle. Like they hadn't had a Super Saiyan, you know, generations of Saiyans. So when he finally went Super Saiyan, it was like, you know, nerdgasm. I stood up from my chair. I was like, oh, holy shit!
Right? It's like, what is
His
this?
hair is
power
gold.
Level?
What the fuck is going on? You know?
Do you know why they did that from the what they call the manga?
I do not.
So in the manga, obviously, when they had to color in his black hair, it would take forever to color it in. So in the manga, eventually they were just getting tired of coloring in his black hair, so they just kind of came up with, okay, he's going to power up, and we're just not going to color in his hair, and we're just going to say it's white or yellow.
See, Mike?
But when it got to the anime, they made it yellow.
Mike, you got to appreciate the creative laziness was responsible for that.
Yeah. They just got tired of coloring in his hair, and that's why it became that.
Okay, so two things. First thing, I get the power fantasy because we were all young. If we're into Dragon Ball and all of those shit, odds are you got your lunch money taken from you a few times. So I understand. I understand the power fantasy of I'm not getting beat up by my bullies. I'm not fighting back yet because I'm charging up my power. So one day I will punch a hole through their chest. Completely get it. The irony is especially you, Brett Baker, if you actually got up off your chair, sat back down, and got back up and did some squats, you would have been very strong. You would have been incredibly strong in high school. You have the size. You could have been football size. And then the other thing too, I actually do now kind of appreciate that laziness is the reason that he has yellow hair, because I've heard this is a thing that happens a lot in pop culture where like for some reason you'll just fail upward. You know what I mean? You're just like fuck it. You know, we're gonna do thing A, B, and C, and suddenly everybody loves it. So that I 100% get.
Yeah, the most laziest thing for them to do became the most iconic moment in the series.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's a really easy way to show that you've changed, right? Like, you know, in any form, really.
Yeah, I mean, think of like even some old games, and I'm like, that's ripping out like Devil May Cry. You know, your hair kind of turns white and lightning and all that stuff. It's like, that's really just Dragon Ball, dude. Who I'm pretty convinced will be your favorite character in the show is Goku's best friend Krillin is the one that Frieza kills, and that's enough to push Goku over the edge and turn Super Saiyan.
Okay, so, I'm gonna guess Krillin is a little dude with dots on
his
head, right?
Yep, there you go.
I'm gonna guess that because he's on a bunch of art, and I always see him around, so I assume that he's one of the main characters.
This is the best way to sum up Krillin. He is a pussy, but he gets all the pussy.
That's actually true.
Like, he's a pussy who gets his ass beat all the time, but he gets all the pussy in the show, including the resident hottie of the entire show, Android 18. And you're like,
I don't know Android 18.
It's the blonde. I'll send you a picture.
Okay, I don't know.
I'm going to send you some anime porn. So, but she's the resident hottie of the show, and she ends up with Krillin. And you're like, Krillin bags all the hot chicks in this show. It's got to be by design. It's got to be by design.
But Brett, who do you think is more useless character? Is it Krillin or Yamcha?
Yamcha, because nobody's gonna go Super Saiyan over Yamcha.
Okay, that's true.
Yamcha was a character in Dragon Ball regular, and he's a fighter, and he has all his own kind of signature fighting moves, and he was in the martial arts tournaments and stuff. But there's a lot of characters in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super that they're not Saiyans, so they don't get stronger after every battle. They just tap out at a certain point. And so, guys, one of the first guys to get left by the wayside, besides Krillin, was Yamcha. Mm-hmm. And then there's like Tien. He's the guy with the third eye. You know, he was a villain that turned into a good guy. And it's like, and he kind of got lost. He got left behind. Even guys like Piccolo eventually get left behind as all the other Saiyan characters get stronger. Mm-hmm. So Yamcha.
That's what I always wondered. Yeah. Because all of those characters were from Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
But I mainly started with Dragon Ball Z, and I'm just like, who are these guys? They seem useless. Where's Goku? And he's the one that can save everybody.
Yeah. Well, Yamcha knew Goku since he was a kid, you know, and so did Tien. Tien was like the final bout for Goku in one of the martial arts tournaments. So he was the bad guy. You know.
Okay.
Okay, so real question then. So all the characters in the first Dragon Ball, the one I mentioned early on, the one from the 80s, they translate over to the ones in the 90s that you guys watch? So some of them survive whatever's happening in the first Dragon Ball?
Yeah, well, there's no Earth. Not until the end of Dragon Ball is there any, like, Earth destruction.
World destruction at stake.
Okay. So essentially, like, it just keeps going and going. So all the characters conceivably should exist for every single season.
If I were to take a guesstimation, I think near the end of Dragon Ball, the regular Dragon Ball, the last saga in Dragon Ball was King Piccolo, and King Piccolo was like, you know, the most evil dude they had in that whole first series, and he almost destroyed the planet, and Goku stopped him when he was a kid, basically. And I think they said, wow, that was our most popular segment after all this stuff of all this like adventure show and collecting Dragon Balls. We should start a show where it's just villain versus Goku over and over again. because this was so popular. Why don't we just make a whole show of just Goku fights bad guy? And then you have Dragon Ball Z, and it's 10 times more popular than Dragon Ball. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So they found a formula and were like, oh, we're bottling this and mass producing it.
So is that the formula for Dragon Ball Z? This is a real question. I don't know. Is it like, so I was a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, but Buffy the Vampire Slayer had a basically Monster of the Week. And X-Files, they'll kind of do the same thing where there's a main storyline, but they're really like, they just introduce a new monster for somebody to beat every week pretty much just because they need a monster. You know, they need something. But that actually, conceptually, I understand it.
But instead of Monster of the Week, it's Dragon Ball, so it was more like Monster of the Year. Because it would take them a year to tell the story. They would give you 6 months of episodes, and then they would stop, and you'd have to just wait in anticipation till the second half of the season. Later in the year, they would finish the saga, and then you'd start the whole process
One
again.
season for you guys was a year?
Yeah. This was before
internet.
Or I think it's just because in Japan they don't really do like 20 episodes per season. They just keep going with the story.
The manga keeps going.
Or the manga keeps going, and they'll keep making episodes as long as there is a manga going.
I've read the manga is still going. Like I read, there are already like 2 sagas in on the manga from where Dragon Ball Super left off. So I'm waiting for them to make the Dragon Ball Super there's a whole another villain. His name's Moro, and he can like take people's power, all this crazy shit. And I'm like, I've already read that manga, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to see it as the show. When the fuck is that gonna happen? You know? So
do you both actually read the manga a lot, or no?
I don't read the manga.
I do when it's interesting, because sometimes it doesn't really, like the saga after this Moro saga in Dragon Ball Super. I was like, you know, they went on a galactic journey, and it sounded like Galactic Dragon Ball, like the regular Dragon Ball, and I'm like, no, I'm good, no thanks. Nope. Vegeta and Goku they're like part of the Galactic Police Force, and I'm like, no, this is getting too Mago too quick. No thanks. Nope. I don't like when it's like this next week's episode in space.
What actually is considered to be like the best of the Dragon Ball series?
Go ahead, Dom.
Well, it's kind of hard because Dragon Ball Z is so big. But if I had to like narrow down Dragon Ball Z in terms of its villains, I would say the Cell Saga is my favorite out of the seasons, if you want to call it that.
Well, they call them sagas. Yeah, me too. Cell Saga, but the Majin Buu Saga was pretty rad too. So, but
I actually never finished it. It was when Kid Buu, I guess, comes back or whatever, or morphs or whatever into existence. That was like the last time when I heard, tune in next time on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. Well, what happened?
And I never saw it.
Yeah, what happened was Majin Buu, they found there was a pod within Majin Buu, and they because he can, you know, absorb everybody. So fucking bear with me. Bear with me, Mike.
I know.
Bear with me,
bear
Mike.
With us, Mike.
Oh man.
I go, seriously, and this is really happening. I'm gonna get more wine.
You can get more wine. You can get more wine. So you remember when Majin Buu? Seriously, I hope he went to get wine. So Majin Buu, you know, there was the Fat Buu, and then his evil presence.
Then the evil one,
ate him, and then it became like the evil Pink Buu. So he had the old Majin Buu in his body when Goku.
I do remember that.
They went in and they pulled it, and Majin Buu was like, "No, don't remove that one because I won't be who I am right now." And they're like, "What the fuck does that mean?" Whatever, we were gonna pull it anyway. And then he went down to Kid Buu, and they said, "Oh, great, now he's smaller." And they're like, "No, now he's pure evil." And they found out that that was his natural form. Like they found out they found out he became the Fat Buu because he kept absorbing the Kais. And so there was this big fat Kai who was like the most powerful Kai of ever, you know, around when Supreme Kai, you remember Supreme Kai? Like he said, there used to be, you know, Supreme Kai has like the mohawk and he's like blue.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So so he goes, there used to be 4 of us that ran the whole universe, but it's just me because Majin Buu absorbed the other 3, And so the last one he absorbed was the fat Grand Supreme Master whatever Kai, who was the most powerful one. And that's why he absorbed him. And that turned him into the Fat Buu. And they said, but because that Supreme Kai was so pure natured, it's his pure nature turned him into kind of a baby atmosphere, like it gave him, it made him happy. It made him
happy.
A killing machine because his influence. When they pulled.
Okay, I'm back, and I immediately apologize to whoever's listening about whatever this conversation is.
So yeah, when they pulled that Majin Buu out of him, then he was just pure evil. And the first thing he does is blow up the Earth, and then using Goku's instant transmission starts blowing up every planet around it. So they're like, oh my crap, he's blowing up every planet and just instant transmitting to the next planet, blowing it up, and they're like, he's gonna blow up the whole fucking universe, So Goku and Vegeta have to power up from the Kai planet to get him to come and fight them,
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then, as always, as they always end, except for the Cell Saga, Goku kills him. Goku saves the day as usual. So
Oh, there you go.
So Goku wins. But I think now maybe you have the similar thing. The reason I like the Cell Saga the best is because Goku doesn't beat Cell. Gohan beats Cell. Goku's son beats Cell.
That was the surprise. Yeah.
And that was cool.
I still get goosebumps when I watch the final fight.
Yeah, it's dope.
That there's such great build up to it. The times where you're like, oh man, Cell's about to win, but Gohan keeps staying in the fight, and then it's at that last moment
and
Vegeta distracts
the Vegeta
Cell.
assist, where Vegeta finally pushes his pride aside and Vegeta fucking help Gohan, and he shoots him.
Well, it was such a surprise because it's like Vegeta will not help. He's always so selfish, and in that one moment, that one distraction is all Gohan needed in order to kill Cell, and if that didn't happen, that would have been it for the Earth. So that's what makes it so great.
That was dope. And Vegeta finally learning that, oh my god, I kind of have feelings for my son,
You're right.
Yeah, that was a as a guy with daddy issues, I was like, I felt something. I'm like, yeah, when he's like, I'm going to give him the ultimate prize for what he's done to my son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, right, Mike?
I just don't even know, man. I don't understand how these things can get. I take them back. I do. I get why you guys are so connected to it, why it can draw out all this emotion, but you also have to think about it in terms of somebody who knows nothing about it and only knows the 30, 40 collective hours you have to cut out of Dragon Ball Z Abridged because nothing is happening.
But I know how we feel, because if I were to say, when Andre came out with Bobby the Brain Heenan and Hulk said, "What are you
shut
doing?
Your mouth. I never want to think about that ever again.
What are you doing with Bobby Heenan? He's a bad guy." And Andre said, Bobby Heenan says, "You don't talk to him anymore because you never respected him. You will talk to me. You never, ever gave Andre a chance at the World Championship, and you're supposed to be his friend." And then Hogan said, "Andre, how could you betray me like this?" And Andre said, all he said was, "I'm challenging you at WrestleMania." And then he pulled the cross from Hulk Hogan's neck.
To be fair, that's not what Andre said. What Andre always says is the same shit. He always goes,
I distinctly heard WrestleMania in a French accent. Le WrestleMania. You can pity me when you find somebody to pity you. When you cry, when Eddie
yeah.
Guerrero
No,
dies, and everyone's wearing "I'm your
Uh,
Poppy" shirts.
Oh, I own an Eddie Guerrero shirt. 2 of them. Fuck it. I own 2 shirts.
So yeah, it's all relative, baby. We're all in the nerd jungle.
I do not. Here's the thing. My angle isn't that I'm too cool for this. My angle is I've never seen it. I don't get it. You know what I mean? Trust me.
Oh, you get it. I could, if I wanted to waste a lot of time, I could put it all in wrestling terminology and make it familiar. But
then I would finally understand. Yeah.
You see,
I'd finally
Goku's kind of like the
this...
John Cena of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. See, Piccolo represents the barbershop window. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
I get it now.
And when Vegeta, the Heartbreak Kid, kicked him through the window. And Vegeta had on a leather jacket, and he had just a sick mullet as well, Sick mullet.
So that's the show. So obviously multiple movies, right? Have you guys watched all of those?
Yeah.
I actually have not seen any of the movies.
What? Really?
I have seen all the movies. About 95% of the movies are not canon. So
why?
Because they're done by other people, and they don't have anything to do with the story. They take what the movies do is they take place in whatever time period the saga's in at the moment. Like Super Android 13. What the saga that was going on with the Android saga at that point in time. So it's like, well, we need to do a movie. Well, we'll do a movie about an android that hasn't been mentioned yet. Like, yeah, what if there was a different there was an android before these 2 androids, So it's like, well, we have Android 17 and 18. Well, how about there was an Android 13? Okay.
Oh,
and he wore a trucker hat.
Plot twist.
Okay, he has a trucker hat on. Sure, okay,
But then I don't get it then. So why would they even make movies that have nothing to do with the show?
I think.
Well, it prints money.
It does.
Oh, I mean, other than that, though, wouldn't you? Well, honestly, wouldn't you, as a fan, be mad? So, like a man. Well, I guess they kind of do it now.
Like, was the Simpsons movie canon to the show?
Well, the Simpsons has no canon. It's the Simpsons. Everything takes place in 2 months. So, what
was that one line?
That's why I
love that one line. Homer's is not in the scene anymore. Let us go back to our hibernation chambers or what?
Yeah. Well, there was also that one. I mean, not to gush over the Simpsons, but there was also that one episode where Homer recaps everything. Bart Gates like, oh, you can put whatever it is with your karate uniform and your Boy Scout uniform and blah 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 blah. And then he stops and and Bart goes like, yeah, what a crazy 2 weeks. And I'm just like, awesome. Like it, because he recapped 6 seasons. You know what I mean?
He did that another time with all the jobs he had. He goes, I'm going to be a simple guy, and maybe that's why I've only been an astronaut, oil tycoon, train conductor. And then it montages, it cuts out and cuts back to him still talking about all the jobs he had.
Well, actually how I think about it now that we've talked about it, is I think about it in terms of there's a canon Batman, and then there's also a Joker movie that seems to have nothing to do with Batman. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the way I see it. Where you could, I mean, obviously, it sounds like the movies weren't any good.
No, some of them were great. Like the Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, where you got one of the greatest memes of all time, because they found some newspaper where they had this newspaper, and it was on the front page of this newspaper. I can't remember where, but all the kids put the superhero that they wish they could be. And why? And it was like, I want to be Superman because he can fly, and it's like, I want to be Batman because he's a great detective and he's super smart. And then right next to that, and the internet lost their fucking mind, this kid put, I want to be Broly because his power is maximum. Yeah. And another reason to watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged is they abridged all the movies too. And so the Broly Abridged, of course, they had to say it. because I'm Broly and my power is maximum.
And again, that was just somebody being lazy. You know what I mean? Just lazy
And
writing.
I think later in it, he says he keeps getting stronger, and he goes, "Now my power's maximum." Followed by in the abridged, and they go, "How are we gonna beat this guy?" And Goku turns. They're all beaten up and on the ground, and Goku turns to one of them and goes, "I'm sure I'll pull something out of my butt." So yeah, the movies are great, and then like I said, they take place in the whatever saga's going on. So the Frieza saga, they did a movie where Frieza has a brother named Cooler, and the way that Goku beats Cooler is the same way he beat Frieza. He goes Super Saiyan, and you're just like, it's a cash grab. Most of them are cash grabs. So.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some really good ones like the History of Trunks, which just seems like it. I think History of Trunks is basically canon because it's kind of the story of Trunks. Trunks is the one with purple hair that came from the future, who's the son of Vegeta and Bulma, the blue-haired girl who's like a inventor, scientist, and she's the daughter of a scientist. And she's with Yamcha, but then Yamcha's a bitch, and then Vegeta comes down, and he's basically the dangerous man, and the wife beater with the pack of cigarettes, So she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck him," and then they fucking, because every girl likes a dangerous man, God, you got to watch the abridged because that was my other favorite one. She's like, "You said you had protection," and he's like, "I was wearing my Saiyan armor."
That's great. Oh god, that's the equivalent if I had my fingers crossed. That's awesome.
Sounds like they had some good ideas in that abridged series.
Yeah. What do you call it? What is their name? Funimation, or there's another Toei Animation shut them down though. So.
Oh.
But they finished the Cell. They finished the Cell saga, and then they got shut down. So.
But they were making too much money off YouTube or something.
Yeah, I think so. So.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they still got the whole up until Cell saga, and I was like, that's good enough for me. That's especially when you got lines like that already, down.
Yeah.
I think they probably hit their creative peak on that.
I think so. They've tried to move on to other things and video games and other stuff, and it's okay. But I'm like, man, no, that was their goal right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So did anybody watch the live action movie then, the American one?
I did, sadly.
So how was that?
Oh, Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's one of the worst movies ever made.
Really? So please tell me. I've never seen any Dragon Ball anything. So especially that
they said to themselves, it seems like somebody said to themselves, "Okay, we've got this show that has like thousands of hours of content, and every story arc takes years to tell, and it's this molded, crafted thing because it has all the time in the world to make stories and to tell these vast stories and flesh out these characters because they have so much time to do it in. How do we get that into an hour and 20 minutes? Oh, I know. We'll introduce characters really fast, and their whole character arc will be explained in seconds."
Did they try to do the Street Fighter movie thing where they basically felt they had to have every character in there?
Yes, it's like, "Goku, I am your grandfather.
Yeah.
I gave you the 4-star Dragon Ball. Hopefully nothing happens to me one day. Oh no, Piccolo has killed me. Piccolo is an alien from another planet. Go seek out my buddy, Master Roshi. He will teach you the Kamehameha wave. Hello, I am Master Roshi, aka Chow Yun Fat. I am being paid the most for this movie."
Oh, that sucks.
Because I don't think the original creator had anything to do with it. This is pretty much the studio is like, oh, this is how many people will watch it. We'll just try to put a movie together. I don't know, make it a teen romance comedy movie with special effects. Yeah, that'll work.
And then speaking
And
of
they just threw money at it.
Speaking of Shameless, who plays Goku, right?
I do not.
What's his name? Emily Rossum's boyfriend in Shameless in the first season. What's his name? Justin Chatwin.
Oh, no way.
There's the Shameless connection.
Weird.
There's a lot of Shameless
What
connections.
a weird, odd cast. Shit.
And then
do they also have aliens and stuff in there? Like, do they also have like green skin and stuff, or do they do the
Piccolo?
cheap
I
thing?
think Piccolo is an actual
I think
actor
they-
too.
I think it was an actor, and they did do makeup for him.
Actually,
they didn't CGI him.
One good thing about
surprisingly.
Piccolo, he does look pretty good in the movie. Piccolo looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Really? That's actually surprising. Usually it sucks.
Yeah, Piccolo looks pretty good. So they took all the lore of the film and all of the anime and the manga, and they just mushed it into a globular orb, and it's like they shoved it in her face. Like, here, try to eat this. It's got chocolate and gummy worms. And I think there's Rice Krispies, but it's good. I promise you it's good. It's got all the stuff you like. You're like, yeah, but it's in your hand and it's melted.
Yeah, plus there's no nutrients. I kind of wanted a hamburger. You know what I mean? I get it. No, I get it. I get it. Okay. So before we get to the quiz show and seeing how, legitimately how much I do not know about this fucking show, any final thoughts on Dragon Ball Z? Or Dragon Ball in general?
I love it.
So you still do? No, that's good.
And I think one day you're gonna come to me and you're gonna say, "I watched Dragon Ball Z Abridged, the first
that will never
first
happen.
5 episodes."
Those words will never
abridged.
come out of my
No.
mouth. No, that'll never
This
happen.
is what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
This
okay.
is what's gonna happen. This is what's gonna happen. You're gonna go.
No.
I watched
Dragon Ball Z's been around since 1985.
Dom,
I was
can you
born in
mute Mike's mic
1982.
for a little bit? So, you're gonna come to me and
Here,
you're
I
gonna
will
say
give you 30 seconds. 30 seconds, Brett, to sell me Dragon Ball. Go.
You're gonna say, I watched the first 5 episodes of Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and it's really funny. It's a really funny show. So, in the real anime, what actually is happening between Raditz and Goku now? Are they this and Piccolo? Why is he coming on? And I'll start saying, oh, because this and this and this, and you're gonna say, wow, you know what? I might have to watch the real Dragon Ball Z just to see what's actually going on in the actual show, and my work here will be done.
Go ahead, man. Your Dragon Ball Z. Are you still a fan of the show after not watching all the movies? I'm sure it probably has some kind of thing in your heart still.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just because of nostalgia that growing up with it. So it's like, I don't want to take the risk of watching if there's a bad movie after watching Dragon Ball Evolution. It's like, I don't want to have that experience again. So I just like to keep it like this, where I've seen the main series and I don't intend on seeing anything new that'll change the lore and everything about it. It's still a fantastic show, and maybe one day you'll see it.
Yeah, no, it's not fucking happening. I've already told everybody this time. It's gonna be a badge of honor.
Remove the maybe.
One day,
maybe. One day you will see it.
No. So here's why. I want, if and when I finally die, I want that to be one of the points somebody makes. Like how everybody has that little obituary, like, oh yeah, he worked for so and so for 15 years and da 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 da. He survived by his kids and da da. I want, and you guys have to promise me if you outlive me, somebody has to add the line. And he was so stubborn about Dragon Ball Z. He has only watched 7 minutes his entire life, and he is Asian, and he loved Japanese shit, and he never saw a single episode of Dragon Ball Z. If you want to open with that during the eulogy, I would be more than happy.
What if it's like 2049? What the fuck? You want me to actually say that? Too bad. Oh. Dragon, rock the dragon.
Okay, first off, what the fuck is that?
That's the theme song.
That is the actual theme song?
It's the theme song. You got to listen to it.
No, I won't. Move on.
Dun 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 dun. Ah! Da, 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 da. That's seriously how it goes.
Dragon
What?
Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z.
Drag.
There it is. Hope you don't get a copyright strike on our podcast.
Honestly, I hope I do. Then this will never,
You would.
never see the light of day.
Dragon Ball Z. This is the quiz game for the show. We're gonna do a quiz, me and Dom, and Mikey's gonna lose because he's not gonna know anything.
Yeah, there's no winner here. I don't even know why we're scoring points. So because the collective nerdgasm for the Dragon Ball Z episode ran a little long, we'll be posting the quiz on the next one. See you guys then. Alrighty, so we'll